show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. I said, in this parade, please wave your grades as the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. You make this parade a mere charade if you're marching just for fun. Our troops must feel your thanks for real before the marching is done. They know side by side you can match their stride to the drum beat and the brass, but they're not impressed with you unless you can match their stride in class. This may not sound too diplomatic, but I cannot be more emphatic as I tell you, it's problematic when you do less than your best. Especially when it's because you put your brilliance on pause for the mere peer applause it draws from a so-called friend doing less. Quit playing, I'm saying, you know that you are great, and we know it, so show it. Don't make our heroes wait. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. For those of you who already do the things that make us proud, your nation in appreciation says thanks to you out loud. Your schoolmates should imitate the way you tap your potential. Let me try to convince them why their effort is essential. Our men and women in uniform, before, during, and after Desert Storm, always perform above the norm, anywhere and everywhere on the planet. They need to follow our heroes' lead, but they cannot lead if they cannot read. Allow me, please, to plant this seed. Don't take freedom for granted. I'm serious, I'm furious to see U.S. schools behind. Remove the clatter, it's just a matter of our making up our minds. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. We believe in you, warriors protect you to do what you must to rise. Please do your part. Please start before another warrior dies. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. They sacrifice for you. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. Please.
Good afternoon and welcome to Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org, the academic patriotism program that is dedicated to veterans and serious secondary scholars. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now here is our host, civilian urban educator, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much, DeQuay Wilson. DeQuay is our producer, engineer, announcer, and co-host. Thank you very much for bringing on the program on this particular Saturday morning, because it is a Saturday morning in November, and many of us who are civilians consider the entire month of November Veterans Month. And we have a very special veteran on the program with us this morning, not for the first time. As a matter of fact, DeQuay, Rebecca Bradley has been loyal to our cause since we started, and here she is again this morning. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm sorry, it's afternoon, isn't it? So thank you so very much for being with us.
And thank you for inviting me.
As a matter of fact, if we reflect, what, if you can recall, I'm not sure because you have enjoyed so many positions helping veterans and others. What was your position when we first started? And you and I shared the office building on 18th and Vine.
Yes, I was the Minority Veterans Coordinator for the state of Missouri. And then I became, they added Women's Coordinator as well.
Now, that's very interesting, because one of the things that we found out, DeQuay, when we had our interchanges with Rebecca Bradley was that minority coordinator did not mean that you did not serve white folks.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, you have had some responsibilities that span the gamut. As a matter of fact, while I'm thinking about it, not only ethnically, but also geographically, how much ground have you covered over the years?
When you say ground, you mean claims or
Positions
events?
where you have had to go beyond the greater Kansas City community.
Oh, okay. Well, most of my job have been in the greater Kansas City area. However,
Yes.
I would receive phone calls from people around the United States.
Yes.
And in part because people here have relatives that live in other parts of the country, and they would say, "Call Rebecca; she'll have an
Exactly.
answer for you."
Exactly.
And so, yes, I receive phone calls from California, East Coast, South Florida, and I received one phone call from Canada.
My God. Outstanding, Rebecca Bradley. And by what title should we refer to you today?
Missionary.
Okay.
I'm missionary Rebecca Bradley, and I'm also commander of National Association for Black Veterans, Chapter 41 here in Kansas City, Missouri. So I still try to help veterans any way I can.
That is outstanding, because I would suspect that as it relates to your travels, oftentimes it might have been to assist in a formal way some organization outside of our community. But much of what you have answered, it sounds like even now, over the years, from other states in the United States, has been because they did not have much of what you could offer them or ask them to start in their own area.
Yes, this is true. This is a true statement. Even though each state help veterans on a state level, you also have the federal level, which is the Department of Veterans Affairs. However, a lot of our veterans, for some reason, cannot get to those facilities. And then sometimes if they do get to those facilities, they're not afforded the information as they should.
Yes. Now, as a matter of fact, as it relates to veterans, and it is important to Quay Wilson, as you introduce me, that we do mention that I am a civilian, as you did in your introduction, because our purpose here is to honor those who have served. I am not one who has, but I get an opportunity to serve with the BFW Auxiliary in Grandview, because my oldest brother, whose name was Herbert, was in Korea, 1952 to 1955, which means that when he got out of the service, he indeed was a veteran of a foreign war, that war being the Korean War. And because my brother was in that foreign war, I got an opportunity to join BFW Auxiliary Post. In that regard, one of the things that you've had occasion to do is to help family members to understand that they too have some rights and privileges because of their relatives who are veterans.
Yes, and this is critical information
Okay.
to spouses as well as dependents of veterans,
Yes.
the youth, to include disabled adults. There are rights and benefits that they are maybe eligible to receive. And we try to get that information out. Oftentimes, they don't get the correct information. I don't want to call it disinformation, maybe misinformation.
Sure.
But
Sure.
the information is available, and I would suggest that all veterans would look into what rights their spouse as well as their dependents can receive.
That is so very important. And missionary Rebecca Bradley, at this point, are you contactable? Is it all right for someone to call for your services even now? And if so, what would that contact information be?
It would be 816-419-68 6825. However, because I get so many phone calls from people wanting to buy my home or try to sell me something,
Yes.
I have a recorder that states, if you would just leave your message, I will get back with you.
Okay, that is Rebecca Bradley, 816-419-6825. 816-419-6825. And as far as today is concerned, Sister DeQuay, we did not mention, but this past week we had an election. There was something went on last Tuesday, and in as much as you must follow as different administrations take control, does it have implications for our being more diligent about keeping up with services for veterans as each administration changes?
Yes.
Okay.
VA they constitute, I guess, different laws, different times passed by Congress.
Yes.
Department of Veterans Affairs was established by Congress to help veterans, and laws change, and they do affect veterans. I think there's a law that was newly incorporated in 2022, whereas it's called Rule 67. Some veterans will become 100% disabled veteran once they meet that formula. However, this rule here states that once you become 67, just as in Social Security, you go back to your original rating. Whereas if you're 100% rated due to all your disabilities, it doesn't apply.
Now, interestingly enough, our program talks to students and we talk about education. With a new administration, we are not quite sure how it might manifest, but there is rumor that someone might be interested in abandoning the Department of Education. We have, as missionary Rebecca Bradley would have us to know, a Department of Veteran Affairs. Do you look forward to greater support? Do you have a reason to be very careful to keep up any implications as I am concerned about the Department of Education?
Well, when a new administration comes in, there's always concerns.
Okay.
So as a veteran, I would try to keep my ear open and try to be aware of what changes may come. I haven't heard of any.
Yes.
But you always want to be aware as to how it will affect you, the funds that you receive based on your benefits.
Right.
And there are a lot of other benefits out there besides compensation. So we want to take a look at any changes that comes down.
All right. Now, by the way, we are blessed on this Saturday afternoon, obviously, to have our producer engineer, DeQuay Wilson, with us. And in recent Saturdays, she has also had accompanying Heaven Hart. And we always like Heaven. I know you're not by the microphone, but we'd like to have her introduce herself.
Okay.
She has been with us for 10 years, for a full decade, which is outstanding for us. And if you would, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Carl.
You are more than welcome.
My name is Heaven Hart, and as he mentioned, I have been with just Miss Valencia Broadus, Mr. Carl Boyd, just in their presence for about the last decade, and it's been wonderful. They have impacted me in so many ways that little do they know, but I just try to, put. I lost my train of thought. I try to.
Well, you impart as much as you receive. So when you use the word try, DeQuay and I would have you to know that you are very effective at helping us to understand and communicate with your generation. When we talk about Stutes for Boots, sponsor of our efforts, we say encouraging American students to strive for excellence in honor of our troops. And when we have young people such as Heaven Hart influencing their peers, that helps us to have this relationship. And I would like for you and DeQuay to feel comfortable just coming to the mic, because sometimes I'm not looking your way and won't acknowledge. So please come right up. I have a question now for missionary Rebecca Bradley, and positioning it in such a way as to pray that you don't feel reluctant based upon, quote, boasting, but based upon truth. And that is, let us investigate some history of missionary Rebecca Bradley, some of the offices that you've held, military experience, just that autobiographical testimony, if you will. And please don't be reluctant, because I'm the one who's pushing you.
Okay. Well, I'm appreciative that you have the program Stutes for Boots.
Thank you.
Because it was in college when I joined ROTC.
Wow.
And I went to CMSU, which is now University of Central Missouri.
Yes.
However, there were a few minorities in the ROTC program there. But when I went off to camp for training for officers, I met plenty of black ROTC college students, and majority of them come from HBCUs.
Yes.
So if we can get more ROTC students locally, CMSU within the state of Missouri, that would be wonderful. Because in the military, as an officer, you learn how to manage money. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably now millions.
Yes, ma'am.
And you learn how to manage people, whether it be a company as an officer, even enlisted people, they manage troops, their platoons. And so those management skills, they excuse me,
Yes.
they are vital once you get out of the military, because I want to say we live in a day and time now where they may not get that experience.
Wow.
But if you were to go into the military,
Yes.
you will obtain that experience. So, and also, you're strengthening in your communication skills.
Without a
we as
doubt.
minorities, our communication skills, oral and written, is lacking. Not everybody, but some of us. And it will be enhanced, because you have to learn how to write. You have to write orders, mission statements, accident statements. You have to be able to do briefings and communicate.
Yes.
And that's both officer as well as enlisted. I don't think a person can get more experience, and I guess I'm trying to say minorities.
Yes.
You know, it's invaluable.
Now, when I think about veterans and being blessed to know you, and we've had the opportunity to meet some other veterans, and I think about those who take advantage of educational opportunities, those who take advantage of medical services,
Right.
those who take advantage of being associated with certain businesses, with certain opportunities. Are you finding, particularly in as much as is it the Alliance or Association, National Association of Black Veterans, that you have to work hard to educate them on the opportunities they have, or is it getting better and you're getting more members who are coming in?
It's the latter.
Okay.
We're not getting very many members. And it's not only just National Association for Black Veterans. I think it's just about many of the other veteran organizations,
Okay.
non-minority veterans
Yes.
organizations as well. I don't understand why they're not joining, but when they do join, that is where they learn of, like we discussed earlier, what
Yeah.
laws are being passed, how they impact not only us but our families. They learn how to get claims approved. What happens if your
Yes.
claim is not approved? What are alternate channels that you can use? And there's just so much that veterans can do once they join those organizations. And
All
there's
right.
a camaraderie also joining
Yes.
those organizations. Some organizations sit solely for the purpose of socializing.
Sure.
And then some organizations have a component where they do claims. And I would like to see more minority veterans doing claims, because it's important that we keep each other informed, whereas they may not get the same information, or it may not be urgent to another claims officer to convey the information to you.
Absolutely, and let us remember that we are talking to missionary Rebecca Bradley. That would be 816-419-6825. 816-419-6825, missionary Rebecca Bradley. Now, here's a number, by the way, DeQuay and Heaven remind me each week that I don't give the number to call in case someone has a question for our very special guest. So that would be 816-599-6893. 816-599-6893. And as a matter of fact, Heaven Hart loves to read. And she took a picture of a book. From where did that book come, and what is it about?
Well, I think I bought this book. I ordered it. And I may have ordered it on Amazon. I'm not 100% sure because I bought it a long time ago.
Okay.
And it's called Taps for a Jim Crow Army. And it's a compilation of letters from black soldiers in World War II. And it was written by Philip McGuire. He has editor on here.
Yes.
And so I hope to use this book on the third Saturday. I believe that's November the 16th.
Yes.
And we're just going to take a look at some of the stories from the black soldiers who served during that time.
Yes.
And what I wanted to do was see how we can apply their stories to receiving benefits.
Wow. Now, let me say that I am blessed and proud that my wife's father was a veteran. And when he passed away, which was September 1st, 2015, and we went to the site in Leavenworth, that a part of those ceremonies was the offering of taps by the trumpet player. So when I see in the title taps, it makes me think of honoring those who have passed away, or is indeed that what the suggestion is in the title?
I'm not 100% sure, but this I do know. There was a Jim Crow Army,
My goodness.
and
My goodness.
there is no longer a Jim Crow
Praise
Army.
God.
And maybe that's why he writing the book
Yes.
as past tense. But I do want to say this. Okay, some of our veterans did serve through the Jim Crow Army, which led up to our soldiers serving in Vietnam. We had World War II, and then we had Vietnam.
Yes, ma'am.
And those veterans, they served at the height of the civil rights era.
You know, one of the blessings that I enjoyed having in the 1960s, I was actually in a singing group, an R&B singing group, and all 5 of us taught school. So we called ourselves the Teachers Edition. And we had the blessing of performing for USO shows. Tokyo, Okinawa, Guam, the Philippines, Korea, Vietnam, and Thailand. And it just happened that we were in Vietnam nearing the end of that war. And they really protected us. They really took care of us. And my appreciation for their literal heroism, and this is not, as you have heard other people say, this is not hyperbole. This is I'm very serious when I say that, especially appreciating that it was after Jim Crow, but we were still involved in civil rights
Right.
during that time. So when we talk about thank you, I mean, and by the way, having the opportunity and the privilege of sharing with Heaven Heart at your age, how much have you heard about or do you desire to learn about the term Jim Crow?
I always have a desire for learning.
Yes.
So, I like to, gain as much information, because the minute you feel like you know everything is the minute you just choose to close your mind off to new things. So, I'm willing to learn more about Jim Crow.
Thank you very, very much, because I am just not sure that our schools today, when those of us who are older, and I'm older than Sister Rebecca, and obviously DeQuay in heaven, and when I think about the civil rights movement and whether or not there's even any mention in today's schools, it questions, are we moving forward or are we moving backwards? So just to have to address the term is formidable, but the wonderful thing is addressing the term in the past tense and praying we can keep it that way.
Yes. And that's pretty much what this book is about, is putting the Jim Crow in the past.
Yes,
But we want to keep it in past,
that's it.
because we don't want to go back.
Thank you very, very much. I have a couple of questions for you after our break. DeQuay Wilson, our producer, engineer, announcer, and co-host, will take us to our break.
It is time to remind our 7th through 12th grade students that you can win a monetary award from our sponsoring organization, Stutes for Boots. Your essay title will be Heroes You Know You Didn't Know Were Heroes. Your content will identify a veteran at your school who can be absolutely anyone. It can be an administrator, a teacher, custodian, absolutely anyone. If your essay is chosen and submitted by an adult who gives you permission to read it on this Wave Your Grades program, you will be awarded a monetary prize. Please send entry or inquiry to stootsforboots@gmail.com. That is STOOTSFORBOOTS, stootsforboots@gmail.com. Now back to our host, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much. And back to missionary Rebecca Bradley. We are celebrating Veterans Day. Can you let our audience know, and our studio audience as well, know some of the kinds of things that go on and how we might properly celebrate as well?
Veterans Day is probably one of the best and most wonderful day for veterans.
Okay.
For the most part, we start off with free breakfast at Hy-Vees. Almost any Hy-Vees or participating Hy-Vees
Yes.
will offer breakfast to veterans. And once you get there, you see all of these veterans. They wear their
Yes.
hats, they wear their paraphernalia. And you feel good leaving out. We used to, believe it or not, would go to Branson and march in a parade.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we were the only black organization, but the people were so wonderful, and the children would run up and give us letters and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun, and
Right.
I'm certain they're probably still doing the parade. Then we would ride back, and then we would go to Applebee's. You know, free
Yes.
food all over the
Yes.
place. If you go to Walmart, they may have a table out with cake and stuff like that. And I think Price Choppers is offering, 50 cents off of a gallon gas?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so there's quite a few organizations. And
All
those
right.
are what I call community benefits
Mhm.
for veterans. All veterans may not be eligible for compensation benefits, but there's a lot of other benefits that the state offer and that the community offer. You know, a lot of churches will have celebration for veterans.
You know what? Good point. Mm-hmm. That's right.
So it's a wonderful day to get out for veterans and just go around. A lot of these state national parks are free for veterans
Yes.
and disabled veterans. I think 18th and Vine, the Negro League,
Yes.
allow veterans to come in. World War I Museum is going to be free for veterans. It's just a lot.
Well, all right.
And shopping. Don't forget to ask for the discount.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, you mentioned 18th and Vine.
Yes.
So immediately I thought about Wayne Minor
Mm-hmm.
and a very special presentation or celebration for Wayne Minor.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about that, I think about the 149 American Legion
Yes.
in honor of Wayne Minor.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think about the Buffalo Soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And here again, young person, how much do you know about Buffalo Soldiers? And this is not something that's being taught in our schools.
You know, a lot of these World War II veterans
Thank you.
were Buffalo Soldiers too.
Yes.
You know, particularly the ones at Fort Huachuca, Arizona. I know I was stationed there, had the opportunity. It was wonderful.
Is that
Well,
right?
I'm not a Buffalo Soldier, but it's in Arizona. We arrived at night. And when I woke up, I saw all these mountains.
Yes.
You kind of like, oh my goodness, did
Yes.
we fly through that? Landed safely, but it's nice, it's warm. And they still have some of those barracks up, and we
Is that
still live
right?
in those barracks too. They have
Wow.
maintained them. But I have met a lot of World War II Buffalo Soldiers, and their stories
Yes.
match up with some of these in this book here. But they are proud men. They are proud men.
Yes. And these are black soldiers. And Rebecca Bradley, our very special guest, said proud men. There is a unit, the 6888,
Yes.
who are proud
Women.
women.
Wax.
Can you mention something about their story? It had to do with mail, I think.
Yes, their story did have to do with mail. There was a time when the mail had got behind, and they needed someone to get the mail out. So they chose this female officer, and she said, I'll do it, I'll get it done. And they said, well, I think we need to put somebody over you.
Yes.
Someone that don't look like you, but we're going to put them over you. And she said, oh, no, you're not.
Thank you. Thank you.
And they delivered they came through with the mail in the time frame that they were required, and I do believe they now have a statue. I have to go see it down at Leavenworth.
In Leavenworth.
Leavenworth has a memorial for several different black officers and other African Americans, and I think they got one down there for Colin Powell as well.
Oh, that's outstanding. And when we think about that and what they did, try to imagine just if you are not in military, if you simply took a vacation and you were looking forward to hearing from someone, and there was no technology, no delivery, no opportunity to communicate with your loved ones, and that is disheartening to you, but your loved ones as well. Now, put it in a war circumstance, put it in a military circumstance where just a word could make a difference where your psyche is concerned and you can't get your mail. And along comes this person who says, I got this. Don't worry about it. And someone says, now, this is not going to be, I got this. Don't worry about it. And this particular African-American female was responsible for getting the mail, and you said on time. So that's some serious history that we don't always hear about. So that, too, is a blessing.
It is. There are a lot of stories in the military that African Americans have achieved.
Yes.
But they're written in books, but in this day and time, we don't know if we'll be able to read those books.
Well, let me ask you something. When will we read your book? And I know I'm not the first person who asked you about that. And do you intend to, or are you engaged already?
Well, I'm in the process of putting together a book. This book that I am putting together is designed to inform veterans of benefits.
Ooh, that's so important.
It is a book whereas it's like a journal / planner.
Okay.
Because oftentimes the veterans don't know what questions to ask. And so my book answers their questions. It's frequently asked questions planner. And over the 20 years that I've served and the questions that I have received, I'm putting it in a year-long planner. But there's so many questions, it might be a 16-month planner, because the VA have so much information and it's difficult to cut it down, the information. And
yes,
the information is vital. It is vital, and we don't know what our benefits are. The VA do publish that information.
Okay.
And they distribute the information.
Okay.
But the question comes in how to apply the information. Where do you go to gather your evidence? They tell you, in order to get your benefits, you got to have this, 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 and that. But you need to know, where do I begin to go get that information?
Yes.
What if that information is not there? How do I assemble it? Who do I go to? And so those are some of the things that I have put into this frequently asked questions book. And I have a short bio on myself.
Well, I have to let missionary Rebecca Bradley know how much you helped me when you didn't know you were helping me. And I cannot remember this brother's last name, Brother Thomas, but he was under a bridge. Mm-hmm. And the light happened to catch me. So I had the opportunity to call him over to the car and asked him where he was from, and we were talking and exchanged names. His name was Thomas. And I said, would you happen to be a veteran? And he said, almost apologetically, no, man, I didn't serve. I'm sorry. I said, well, brother, I'm a civilian too. I have a brother who was in Korea. And he said, oh, And he mentioned his father and one uncle. And I said, stay there for a minute. The light turned green, so I had to make a turnaround and get back to him and told him about Rebecca Bradley. Now, I was able to help him with some information, and how he followed up, I'm not quite sure. But the next time I sought him on that corner, he was about to be unhomeless based upon some information that he somehow got from the National Association of Black Veterans, Rebecca Bradley. And there are so many who could benefit. Someone will hear that missionary Rebecca Bradley, veteran, is writing a book and assume that the only ones who can benefit from that writing would indeed be veterans. That's what it's about. But how about others of us? How do we benefit from your writing?
That's a good question. Because as veterans, as we get older, who takes care of us?
Wow.
You know, our dependents or our
Yes.
spouses. And we need to know what benefits that our parents, our loved one, is eligible to receive. If you don't know, then a lot of the care will fall upon you, and you as a son or a daughter with your own family will end up trying to take care of dad and mom who served in the military when you don't have to.
Right.
Because if you know the information, there's a plethora again of benefits out there, starting with the hospital. You don't necessarily have to have the benefits, because once you get older, you're going to need the hospital benefits.
Yes. Yes.
You know, there's nursing homes for veterans.
Absolutely.
People don't know about it.
Yes.
Sometimes the veterans may have surgery. They have their own home, but they need someone to take care of them.
Wow.
That's available as well.
Okay.
You know, so there's a lot of information that the family member need to know.
Yes.
Sometimes as we get older, we can't manage our funds. And so a child could step in and say, hey, I want to be the fiduciary over my parents' funds. And they can do that too. Just a lot of information that they need to know.
I'll tell you something that you make me mindful of and would like to know the severity. At my age, growing up in the 40s and 50s, we heard a term, and the term was shell-shocked. Now, as the decades evolved, now someone having your age would hear of PTSD. And when I think about things attributed to veterans, is that as severe, as concerning as some would say it is? And how do we help those around us who might suffer from PTSD?
There is a good portion of veterans who does suffer from PTSD / shell shock.
Yeah.
The first thing you want to do for that veteran is help them to receive counseling.
Okay.
You know, because everybody needs somebody to talk to.
Yes.
They need to tell what they saw. You know, some things you just can't unsee.
Wow.
You know, particularly when you're in war. Some people have been physically attacked, particularly women. You know.
Yes.
And those things you can't undo.
Wow.
That things that you have experienced. And having a counselor to begin with to help you control your thoughts, and then you would want to visit with a veteran service officer to help you apply for benefits. You know, some veterans are so severe that they cannot work, and they will put them in a home, or they can stay in their own home
Okay.
You see, and
Okay.
and then they will have the monetary funds to
Yes.
help them pay for their home, their rent, their groceries and stuff like that. Because a lot of times not all of them can't leave the home,
Yes.
until they work that PTSD out.
And I'll tell you one thing about acronyms that we do, and oftentimes I'm listening to a conversation and don't know exactly what they're talking about. So the words are post-traumatic stress disorder. So post means after. So they have encountered something in service that hurts them now. It's a post-trauma.
Yes.
And I was at my uncle's house in Dayton, Ohio, and his wife had passed, and there were a group of us from the Kansas City community who went to Dayton, Ohio to commiserate with my uncle. We were around the dinner table, and the veterans who were there were telling stories about when they were in service and the different things that happened, almost in a jovial way, but it was still serious.
Yeah.
And we were at another radio station, but we were talking about these topics. So when we came back to Kansas City, this gentleman who was a minister who had been at the dinner table with us, and we're trading these stories. And I said, man, please, when we get back, you got to come on the show. And when I said that, there was silence. So I said, when we were talking at my uncle's table, we were in Dayton, Ohio, and all of that. And the audience would love to hear some of what you experienced. Silence. So I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know if you heard me. And he said, I heard you. And he shook his head. He said, Brother Boyd, I can't do that. And I said, oh, I don't want to impose upon your time or anything like that. It's not obligatory. I was just saying that it was so interesting. He kept shaking his head to the point where it looked like he was hurt, that he was injured. Don't even bring this up. So that what was comfortable to him around the dinner table is not comfortable on a microphone. And that's just one manifestation. But can we even imagine the number of idiosyncratic type behaviors that someone is suffering might encounter with just a mention of the wrong word?
Yeah. You're right. You're right. I had that experience once helping a veteran, and he was telling me a war story, and he was saying it in a jovial way. And then when I laughed at it, he got offended.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay, I understand.
Yes.
Only you can do that,
Right.
And I learned from that. There's a lot of veterans. I've had classes, and they wouldn't say anything.
Exactly.
Their eyes would just tear up because we don't know what they saw. And I speak to spouses, and as their loved ones who went to Vietnam, particularly men, they drink a lot to get rid of the thoughts. And that comes with its own set of problems.
Exactly.
So, but yes, post-traumatic stress disorder is real. And oftentimes, it's not necessarily that you had to have been shot at or was in war.
Right.
As this book, Taps for a Jim Crow Army, they talk about the discrimination that they faced and the words, the name calling that people still call us today.
My goodness.
By their commanding officers.
What?
Yes. That's why I was saying Jim Crow.
Wow.
Height of civil rights era. And what era are we now? They made, since while I was in, they used to put up the Confederate flag, and recently they made them take that down. So what are they wearing now?
Can you imagine?
The hat.
Yes.
The red one.
I mean, this is serious. This is very serious in 2024 when you can imagine how much we were celebrating in the 1960s. And the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, I've been to the mountain and I've looked over and I've seen the other side, and we as a people will get to the promised land, and all of that, and how we were feeling about something called the Civil Rights Movement, when we were getting the kind of respect. And when you think about May 17th, 1954, Brown versus the Board of Education, and in 1955 they said schools will be desegregated with all deliberate speed. And the reason that we were able to feel good was because of a Supreme Court justice whose name was Thurgood Marshall. And this was a black man who... go ahead, please.
No. Go ahead. I just wanted to put this book up so if anybody wants to order it online,
Yes.
they can. It's called Taps for Jim Crow Army. And it's letters from World War II soldiers, Black World War II soldiers. Reading the stories, I after I read it, I said to myself, "Wow, I met some veterans who experienced some of the same things."
Yes, ma'am.
And then I
Yes,
looked at it again
ma'am.
closer today. I said, "You know what? They served in World War II."
Can you imagine?
And then I listened to some of the stories of the veterans who served in Vietnam. And even when I was in, we're still facing some of these same
Yes, ma'am.
stories.
Yes, ma'am.
But again, the emphasis that I want to speak about is you can get benefits for your mental health, stress, anxiety.
That is so important.
And a lot of times people don't realize if you got a Article 15, if you got punished, those are documentations.
Now, and that is a part of your record that is traceable.
But one thing that I would like to convey as a form of documentation is if you go back and you look at the letters and you have a World War II veteran,
Yes.
which I had,
Yes.
they said, they kept calling us the N-word. Our colonel kept calling us the N-word. We had no other name but the N-word. And that's in this book, too.
My goodness.
But how do you prove that? This book, these letters,
Now,
the
that
era
is so
that they
important.
served in,
That is so important. Yes.
that's to me. And I think if the VA Congress would recognize that as evidence,
Well,
how the hostile environment that they served in. And here, one last story. It was
Yes.
a gentleman who had got into a fight and he had got stabbed.
Oh, boy.
I had a case where a gentleman was on a ship. They had a riot. He got stabbed.
My Lord.
Vietnam era.
Yes, ma'am.
So a lot
Yes,
of
ma'am.
things are the same.
Well, let me say that we are coming to the end of this particular program. I want to make sure that we do not get away with your saying what you came to say. And if there are ways, particularly young people, can help celebrate the month of November, November 11th in particular, please do.
Okay.
So whatever is on your mind before we close, please go right ahead.
Well, when I finish my book, I've been writing on it for
I am
3
so
years.
glad.
But I pick it up, I put it down, I pick it up, I put it down. And each time I pick it up, the Lord gives me something new to add to the book.
Praise God.
The latest thing is, I'm so glad I didn't write the book because it was something very, very important. That information that was given to me. When a veteran submits a claim, he has to go. When a veteran submits a claim, excuse me, he has to go and get an examination. A lot of times that's where the veteran get denied because of inadequate examinations. However, there is a form that the physicians complete called a DBQ, Disability Benefits Questionnaire. But if the veteran can get their own physician to complete that,
Okay.
they can go ahead and use that in lieu.
Praise God.
That was the latest thing that I've learned.
If there's something that someone heard and you might have forgotten, that number again is Missionary Rebecca Bradley, 419-6825. By the way, just out of curiosity, what is an Article 15?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Article 15 is kind of like a punishment or
Okay.
or a court martial. It's not quite that
Ooh.
severe as a court martial, but it's a form of a punishment where you can get put in jail. You can get money taken from you.
My Lord.
You can get rank taken from you.
Mhm.
You know, and a lot of times they're trumped up, and that's another story for another day.
Okay, thank you so very, very much, because you are a store of information and we appreciate you. God
Okay.
bless you, Rebecca
Thank
Bradley.
you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And here is DeQuay Wilson.
Okay.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank our guests and our listeners for joining us on your Stutes for Boots Wave Your Grades program. We come to you live every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now, our host, Carl Boyd, will close with either Carl's commentary on academic patriotism or his daily message for students in honor of our veterans from his book, Morning Messages.
Thank you so very, very much. And the book is Morning Messages. It is a message for every day of the year, 366 messages. And there has been at least one, maybe two schools who have adopted the morning message. And it goes like this: to students across the USA, your Stutes for Boots message for this day, November 9th. Our troops' rewards are your academic awards. Receive them with reverence and respect. This is Stutes for Boots. Name of the program is Wave Your Grades. We have been blessed today to have as our very special guest missionary Rebecca Bradley, and we will be calling upon you to come back. And we certainly want to read that book. I cannot
Please do.
imagine how much is included in that. To DeQuay Wilson, producer, engineer, announcer, co-host, and Heaven Hart. My name is Carl Boyd. Gracious God and wonderful Wanda, I'm on my way home.